What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of SEC Talk with Holden and Cody. Cody, what's going on, brother? Welcome to another evening.
Not a whole lot.
Another evening of the fun tonight, guys. We finally got some music put together that I think we're going to use, hopefully, for the remainder of the season. Sometimes it's fun kind of changing in and out some of the music that we got going, but I've been really wanting to get to where we had I've really been wanting to get to where we have like a set song that we play for. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We got some stuff to talk about. We've got a lot of bye games this week, or teams with bye, I should say, not bye games. Not very many games around the SEC, but it's still a busy weekend. The Big Ten joins back in with us.
About time.
I know. I'm actually kind of excited about it just because they've got, there's some good teams out there, and there's some fun stuff coming up. We're going to run through a little bit of the news for you like we do every night. We're going to jump into the games that are upcoming this weekend for the SEC.
Night.
Well, every week.
How many podcasts we do?
Well, you know how it is. Well, we're going to hit it. We're going to run through the games inside of the SEC, the few games that are being played. Jump outside the league, catch you up on some of those Big Ten matchups that are happening. We got picks for you. We got bet lines coming out. And we'll wrap it up, as usual, running through some of the under the lights high school games around the area or what have you. So without further ado, Cody, go ahead and let's jump through some news real quick. I know you've got some for us.
Yeah, I think the biggest one we already named off, Big Ten's finally coming back to college football. Finally.
Yeah.
It's been, about 5 weeks?
Oh, it's been longer than that. Just in the SEC.
5 weeks?
Yeah, just in SEC, this is week 5 for the SEC? Because the other teams have been playing for a while.
Well, Clemson's only 5-0, so.
But they've already had a bye week too. So call it 6-7 weeks.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Most of the things I'm saying don't only have Army has 6 games, so say 7 weeks because they had a bye week. So week 7, week 8, somewhere in there. It's
weird that this year
I'm an idiot.
We've had so many different week ones for teams. Yeah. You had a couple like the Fun Belt, they got started, and then you had the ACC got started, and then the SEC, now the Big Ten, and guess what? A couple weeks from now, we're going to do it again with the Pac-12. So.
Yeah, I didn't realize on the scoreboard it says week 8. I should have paid attention to that. But
speaking of the scoreboard, I'll get your top 25 on one side of the screen and the games around the SEC. Boom. Popped up on the screen here for us. Need to get rid of one more thing visually for you guys that are watching. It's all good. Roll on with it, brother. Sorry about that.
Anyways, with it. But Big Ten is finally coming back into college football after week 8. Or joined in week 8, so 7 weeks without them. I think we got, 2 more weeks and the Pac-12 joined in?
Yeah,
but
what is it,
the
November
biggest
4th
thing I've
something
seen,
like that?
Something like that is when they kick off something weird.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I've seen so far, and the biggest talk, is, I'll start off with the biggest trophy to win in college football, the Heisman Trophy. Right now, of course, Clemson's quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, leads that race.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, putting up these big numbers, but my thing is they're not playing no tough teams. Like 73-7 last week against Georgia Tech. I mean, come on now.
Their test is coming. I think they got Notre Dame is next weekend, isn't it? Isn't it Halloween weekend? So they've got a couple tests coming.
I'm hoping that's a good one.
Yeah, Miami didn't give them as much of a fight as
good,
But hey, it could also turn out Miami's still ranked. Miami's still 11th, right outside of the top 10. So
I think so. Yeah.
According to the committee, they evidently don't think that they're necessarily terrible.
Well, that's not the committee now. That's
models. Yeah.
Yeah, this is computer models right now as far as the rank. I think they're still doing the computer system for these rankings. Because the committee don't come in till.
Oh yeah, I know the college football playoff committee. I wasn't meaning them, but I thought it was still a committee that puts it together. I thought they got rid of the.
It may be.
I thought they got rid of
the AP people. I don't know how they're. Yeah. I have to go back and look and see how they're ranked.
Either way.
Anyways, but you got the Big Ten coming in. Justin Fields coming out of the Big Ten. That's the big spotlight player, I guess you could say, for the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
How does them coming in this late to the season affect his run for the Heisman.
I don't really think it does.
Because, well, see, here's my thing about this. If you take, because they're not going to play the same amount of games as everybody else. They're going to try to, but they're not going to fit them all in.
They might.
Because you're going to have something come up.
Now, the Pac-12, they're going to be the ones to have trouble. They're obviously never going to be able to get enough games in. The Big Ten, I think they will, as long as we don't have flare-ups like what you're having right now.
That's what I'm saying, is you have these flare-ups. You've seen ACC have to postpone, SEC having to postpone, Sunbelt having to postpone. You can bet that Big Ten is going to have to postpone some games. Yeah. It's going to happen.
It's very well possible. I did see where the Big Ten, they are not allowed. It doesn't matter if your state allows you to have fans in a stadium. The Big Ten is not allowing anybody to have any fans in the stands.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the Pac-12 is going to follow suit with that just because of the risk.
Oh, yeah. Right there behind them.
Like with Vandy. Yeah. Which, I don't know. My thinking is, the Heisman candidacy like it is, Trevor Lawrence is leading that race. Matt Jones is right on his heels.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I really think it's going to come down to Trevor Lawrence has to have a perfect season. And so does Mac. And it's going to probably, I think, be one of the closest votes they've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's putting these big numbers, but if I'm willing to bet if you take Clemson and put them against Georgia, they're not going to do what Bama did to them. They don't have the pressure. Okay, I'm on mute.
That's a good idea.
They don't have the atmosphere to change that. Get what I'm saying?
I don't, just because Clemson's got a great defense and a powerhouse offense just like Alabama. So they've got all the keys to do the same thing to it.
They have those keys, but that's us watching them against ACC defenses.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Now, I'll give you that to an extent. But at the same time, we've had this conversation for the past 3-4 years that they don't play anybody.
Yeah.
And then they come and they play somebody in the playoffs. And, I mean, they beat Ohio State last year, who played teams and did great. They showed up and proved that they were supposed to be there. And until somebody comes in and just wears Clemson out, I think Clemson's always going to belong because Clemson is a good football team all the way around.
Oh, Clemson's a good – I'm not taking anything away from Clemson now. Don't take that out of context. I'm not taking anything away from Clemson now. But at the same time, every dog has his day. The year, for instance, the last year of the BCS Championship, Alabama and LSU regular season, field goal game, close game, 9-6 final score. Everybody saw that game, thought, okay, well, if it's like this in regular season, it's going to be like this in the championship game. And come championship game, it was completely different because you're on a different platform.
Yeah.
With Clemson being on that platform, they're going to play their better game versus regular season.
Oh, yeah. Now, dude, and again, I'm not saying that what you're saying as far as the ACC goes, because up until this year, Miami hasn't given them enough of a fight. North Carolina took them down to the wire last year. Well, they're not going to see them this year unless it's in a championship. Miami looked better this year. Florida State's on the up and coming, but having Notre Dame there this year, that at least gives them one game. Take Oklahoma, for example. Oklahoma's played teams, and look, they've been in the playoffs. They got absolutely boat raced in the first half alone last year against LSU, which LSU last year, they proved, hey, we're here for a reason. You come in and play in Clemson. First half, great game, just like Georgia. Second half, not so much. LSU took over. So you're right. Every team does have its day.
And that's where the SEC defense comes into place. That's what I'm saying is, to me, I haven't seen an ACC defense and this is going to be biased to me for the SEC, but I have not seen defenses outside the SEC that play a second half better than their first.
I would say the only argument right now is Clemson. Clemson's defense just is good, even though it's not necessarily against the
Well,
people. But you got to also
here's the
look
thing
at it
on
like
that,
this:
too.
we can't do anything about it. We can't give them
No.
SEC games to have to play to prove, especially this year. Now in the future they
Oh, yeah,
can
I mean,
obviously
I'm not-
schedule games, but this year you can't. Almost the arguments of
Yeah.
they don't play anybody. You don't get a choice this year. They're at least getting
Yeah,
Notre
that-
Dame on the calendar, so that's at least a plus 4 on that.
Yeah, I wish. Well, I understand that, but at the same time, what I'm saying too is like with with the teams playing like they are, find me an ACC team that's down at half, and their defense is still going to fight after halftime.
Yeah,
I don't see it. I do not see an ACC defense doing that.
I do think until
Whereas-
you see Clemson challenged in that first half, I think that's going to
But that's
be
the thing
when you
is-
get it. But I don't think they're going to be. They're so good this year. The only test they're going to get now, I think, is Notre Dame.
It's going to be Notre Dame or the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if this too is with these teams, because if you beat a team 73-7, that tells your area at halftime. That team gave up.
Oh yeah,
They were done.
Georgia
So
Tech's
at the
just
same
not a
time,
good
what I'm saying
program
is-
right now.
No, and Georgia Tech's not like the Georgia Tech they used to be. Georgia Tech's triple option 5-6 years ago
Yeah.
used to be dangerous.
Oh yeah, at
Everybody
times.
hated to see it because at times, but everybody hated to see that offense because with their wing formation and that triple option they ran, you could not make out that offense.
Yeah.
Which at the time, not many teams were doing that. There was 2 teams I know of that were real big doing the triple option. It was Georgia Tech and Oregon.
Yeah, and
That was
I think it got to the point because it has been a thing and it's been a relevant thing for a long time. But it got to the point where the defense or the offenses around the country started to become what it is now, where you're starting to get these guys who can run and throw the ball, and it's these guys with arms
Yeah.
that can also run. That makes it harder going to this RPO that everybody's going to now. And
We'll
back
start with
to
Ole Miss.
yeah, there you go. I mean, same
Ole
thing.
Miss Alabama game is a perfect example of the RPO.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, and I will say this: Ole Miss embarrassed us in that game because they showed if you can run hurry up offense on Alabama and keep our defense on our heels, we cannot stop. We cannot stop that offense.
I think their
But at the
offense
same
more than
time-
anything is what showed up in that game. We learned that
Oh, yeah.
hey, Ole Miss has an offense, and it is
It's
you got to
dangerous.
stop us, or we're gonna just run all over you, and that was it. And
But,
once they start,
uh,
they ain't no stopping it.
No, but at the same time, they showed too that they don't have a defense.
Oh yeah,
Because when you score that quick, and you talked about this in the Alabama Georgia game, and I told you I was like, the secret to winning a game is getting your defense rest in that first half. Because the longer your defense gets to rest in that first half, when they come out second half with that extra 15 minutes of rest,
yeah,
that defense is going to come out more on fire than they were at the beginning of that game.
Yeah.
So, especially if you go into being it close, whereas Clemson's here and blowing teams out in the first half, these
Yeah.
teams are giving up.
Yeah, you get your
I
back
honestly
up
think
in
teams are giving up.
Now, as far as back to your Heisman conversation goes, the way I look at it
Okay,
as far as for Justin Fields goes, I do think that Justin Fields is going to be right back there in the conversation when he gets started. And a lot of this, we might not necessarily you're going to see it this weekend for sure.
Oh yeah.
But next weekend they're going to play Penn State, and he immediately gets to show off, hey, we're playing a powerhouse team. If they can beat them, great. If they don't, questions get to be raised.
That's
but
gonna be
my thought on this is, as far as you saying,
Hold on 1 second.
all right. All right, sorry about that, you guys. We're back real quick. But anyways, what I was saying
Technical difficulties.
as far as this wasn't technical difficulty. This was just you shutting the door. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Well,
So back to the
anyways.
conversation as far as Justin Fields goes. I do think that he's going to be right back in the conversation. And he's been relevant all this time. And this coming from a Georgia fan. Now, and the reason I say that he can jump right back up there is because I believe fully that and in my opinion, I think that JT Daniels is going to end up being your quarterback come the Kentucky game. I'll get to a little bit of that here in just a little while. But if JT Daniels was to come in and just light the world on fire in the back half of Georgia's season, you could see his name pop up there in a top 5 conversation. Doesn't mean he would win it, but you can easily make yourself relevant. Take KJ Costello, for example, at Mississippi State. First game of the season, breaks SEC records. And, you're sitting here thinking, oh, this guy's the best. And then all of a sudden he turns around and he's thrown like 100 picks since then and loses to, who'd they lose to? Kentucky, like 24-2.
Yeah.
So, it can be a flip of a switch for sure. And I think Justin Fields is going to come in firing on all cylinders just like he was last season.
Oh, yeah, man, I'm not taking anything away from JT Daniels, or not JT Daniels, Justin Fields.
Yeah.
He's a dangerous quarterback up there at Ohio State, and he matches that offense.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach Day up there, he likes to run that real high-powered offense, and he matches the way they run. But at the same time, I mean, so I'm trying to look at the Heisman list too.
Hey.
You look at the Heisman list as of right now, as we sit here on October 22nd. Justin Fields leads it with 14 out of 14 first-place votes. But, I mean, this is what their most notable thing is. It's not often a team scores 73 points, but Trevor Lawrence and Tigers did just that last Saturday in a blowout win over Georgia Tech.
I was like, how in the world is Justin Fields at the top of that
Lawrence
list?
to play a whole game, most because he states them to a lead that lasts, like last weekend's 52-7 at halftime. He went in at halftime with 52-7 lead. If you don't tell me that does not kill opponent's momentum, I mean, and all the first half had 404 yards, which is great. Not taking anything away from Trevor Lawrence. He's a great quarterback. He's dangerous. But at the same time, just like Tua last year, he didn't play none of his full games. Or the year before, I'm sorry. Tua only played like first half or first 3 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, here's Matt Jones going 24 for 32 on the number 1 defense in the country with 4 touchdowns and more than 404 yards.
No.
Now, I don't know what Georgia Tech's defense is, but it ain't in the top 10.
No, definitely not. Well, I tell you what.
Turn my mic down.
No, you're good.
Oh, no.
What other news did you have? Because we're still right in the middle of the news segment. We haven't gone off, but we're getting some good content in there. But let's continue on with the news so we can get to the games upcoming this weekend.
So, apparently my computer audio killed out on me, and I completely lost you for like past 2 minutes.
I knew when I had talked to you a minute ago, I was like, I don't think he can hear me.
No, I don't know what happened to my audio. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to jump through some of the other news. I mean, that's kind of... You could talk all day about, your top quarterback and top teams in the country.
Yeah, we would be doing a podcast every day then.
Yeah, that one we had to. But continuing down, the biggest news I think is coming out of LSU. Miles Brandon got hurt last week against who did they play? I forgot who they played last week.
Oh,
Do you know? I'm trying to.
Look real quick.
No, they had a bye week last week. So I think he suffered against Missouri. They're saying that he suffered a lower.
That's right. They postponed
body,
the Florida game.
Yeah. I think something about saw he had a lower body injury off of the Missouri game, and he is not playing Saturday. I saw a thing, I think it said 7 or 3 hours ago. 7 hours ago, Coach O announced freshman T.J. Finley to start against South Carolina.
Yeah.
And he said you're more than likely to see the other freshman and Matt Johnson too. So LSU's been kind of in the hot seat right here lately.
Yeah.
Most notably, their biggest receiver, Odell Beckham Jr., apparently was sending players $2,000 in cash. Well, because of that,
Well,
they lost 8 scholarships.
Yeah, you remember back in the national championship when he came to the
Yep.
game and was handed it to him. That was all from that, and they're finally getting them on that. But there's more to it. Keep on reading.
So, from what I just got bits and pieces of it, he's been banned from the LSU facilities. I think that's indefinitely.
Two years.
He's no. 2 years is the restrictions.
Odell Beckham has been banned from LSU for 2 years. That was the ban on him.
Well, I saw something else. 2 years.
The restrictions is also they lose 8 scholarships, and for 2 years Odell Beckham can't be there. Yeah, but then they're also the other thing. Did you have the other thing about the booster?
Reducing I saw it somewhere. I think I wrote it somewhere. Yeah. That they are reducing recruiting visits, evaluations, and communication for recruitment after a 2-year investigation where a booster payment to the father of a football player, where a booster was paying players' parents.
I think I'd read on.
So that's another 2-year restriction they're on.
Yeah, the kind of sad thing about that was, I say sad because you just can't do it. That's all there is to it. I think that they said that the booster paid the family like $250,000 right at it. So right at $250,000 for a sick child, I think, that was like in the hospital or something. So that's what the excuse was used for. But the thing is, the NCAA can't.
Yeah,
you just can't do it, unfortunately. So LSU's in a lot of hot seat as far as all that kind of stuff goes. Luckily, they don't have any kind of bowl bans or anything like that. So.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think the way that this year is going for them, I think a bowl's the least of their worries.
Everybody's going to be in a bowl this year. Ain't nobody not going to be in a bowl this year. Cereal, they're going to be like cereal in a bowl, man. Everybody gets in it.
Welcome to the Frosted Flakes.
Yeah. Hey, funny random question right here to add to the podcast.
Oh,
do you like putting bananas in your Frosted Flakes?
I ain't never tried it.
I have with it. It's pretty good, but with like Honey Nut Cheerios, I like cutting up bananas and putting them in there with them. That's good stuff.
I'll try that next time I have. I ain't had bananas in it. Sounds good, though.
That's good stuff to me. All right, let's roll back with some football here.
All right, anyways. So that's coming up LSU banning Odell Beckham for 2 years, along with all the. From what I understand, this is not the NCAA's restrictions. This is the self-imposed restrictions that colleges put on themselves.
Yeah.
I think they're doing that so they don't get banned and they don't get all the stuff from them.
Yep.
They're like, okay, we don't learn. If we do it ourselves, we're good.
Yep. That's why you have so many presidents and so many coaches that they will resign before all the allegations that are against them start to come out and they have to face bigger issues. You know, you're like, all right, peace out. Feet don't fail me now. I'm out of here when I can be.
Oh, look, there's a door. I'm out.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's something to keep an eye out down there at LSU. See how that goes on, especially with the quarterback situation and Miles Brennan, because he's kind of had a rocky start this year. I think LSU's 2-2 on the season.
He's looked good though. It hasn't had anything to do with the offense. It's all about the defense because he's throwing for a heap load of yards.
He's throwing some good yardage, but I mean, like you said, their defense is just struggling.
Yeah.
But continue on down, another big team to kind of keep an eye out for is the team they're supposed to play last week in Florida. Last I heard, Florida had 21 positive coronavirus tests.
It's up to 31 now.
Oh,
31.
Yeah. They're hoping that I was reading that it said they were hoping to start practice back on October 26th to get back into routine. But if they got 31,
Yeah. Now, as
we have
far
a
as
lot of negative tests quick.
yeah, as far as activeness right now goes, the last number I heard was 31 is what they've confirmed. And as of, I believe, yesterday, yeah, as of Wednesday, I think they canceled, like they have banned and stopped all football activities until
Oh
at
yeah,
least Sunday, at least this coming Sunday, when they'll reevaluate and determine, okay, can we let these guys come
was
back
it
or we got further
26?
than that? Very well, maybe. When is game time? The 24th? Yeah. So it'll be 25th.
Yeah,
So 26th, yeah, that Monday will be when they come back.
yeah, that's what I was reading.
More than
That they were
likely,
talking
it's
about
more than
starting
likely it's
back
going to be later than
26.
that. If you got that many people,
Yeah, if they got
plus
31,
plus Dan Mullen down there, he's got it too. So
yeah, who are they? Let's see who they're supposed to play next week, real quick. Just kind of looking ahead.
do they have South Carolina before they play us the week following?
They're supposed to have Missouri.
Mizzou,
That's
it.
what they swapped. They swapped Missouri for I think South Carolina because they're supposed to play Missouri later on. Swap them in South Carolina. They swapped some games around there to
Well, they did just like I think
with
they did
LSU
just
and all
like
that going
Georgia.
on.
They moved LSU to the end of the season. They backed this game up that was
Yeah.
supposed to be this week to next week because both Georgia and Florida would have had to bye next week before they play each other. And so they backed that game up. And then I don't know that they backed the Kentucky game up so that way Georgia didn't have a bye before they played Florida to give Georgia an unfair advantage maybe. Or if
They
if
play week 9.
if they just moved it because of it. So
Yeah, they got y'all playing Kentucky next week, and then y'all playing in week 10.
so that's a couple
So
of
they
your
don't play
changes
South
there.
Carolina. Yeah, they don't play South Carolina till the very end of the season. No. Yeah, they don't play South Carolina until like the very end of the season.
Okay. All right, well, let's keep on with it. Let's see if we can keep train moving. You got any other news that you wanted to run through?
Big news coming out of. We'll stick on the with the players with the coronavirus. Ole Miss has players. Lane Kiffin has not said a number. Has just said a number of players who have tested positive with corona. I have yet to find an actual number on that. I've tried to find one. I think he's pulling a saving and is not releasing all his information like he should be, which is being Lane Kiffin. I wouldn't put it past him. But
Yeah, I don't see anything.
I said all I've seen so far is just saying. See this right here with something. That's too good. But he hasn't came out and said exactly how many players he has tested for coronavirus. So far, I think what number did you tell me was the SEC's restricted number?
So the way it works is
You have your roster?
if your number falls under active roster under 53 or 50, I think that's when you have no choice but to cancel or postpone. But if it's above that number, you can still play, as long as everybody else is obviously healthy. Because like Florida's, I think dipped last week when they were supposed to play LSU, dipped below that 53 man number, and then LSU.
Yeah,
I don't know how it was with LSU.
Yeah, he hasn't released how many actual players he has tested. He may be right there at that line, or it could be some coaches involved too. Not really know what's going on there. So you just have to wait and see. They are scheduled to play Auburn, so
That
far
could be
we know
part of
that
it.
game is still on.
Yeah, that definitely could be part of it. Is that all we got on the news, or you still got a little bit more in there?
One more thing that happened last week
Oh yeah.
that we kind of missed on Sunday. Tennessee's coach Jeremy Pruitt, the ex-Alabama coach, the final assistant for Nick Saban in the regular season, hopefully. fired his assistant coach in Jimmy Brumbaugh. I think I said that right, probably. I really didn't see why he fired him. From what I understand, I think it may just been he just got tired of.
Said he fired him. It was after being critical of the defensive line. Said it was during the Kentucky game.
I mean, I guess.
And I don't think he's been there, but I don't think that coach has been there but 4 games, and that's all Pruitt needed to say. I'm done with this.
I guess so. I mean,
evidently things weren't going quite the way that he needed them.
Well, it's going to end up costing them in the end because it's from right here where I'm reading. His assist. Let's see. He replaced former assistant Tracy Rocker, who is now on South Carolina staff. It was reported that Brumbaugh could receive more than $830,000 from the University of Tennessee in a buyout payment.
For Tennessee, that'll be fine. They'll just throw it out there. I did hear another bit of news that I didn't really think much of, that I heard earlier this week, that some parents, and I think maybe some boosters, I don't know exactly how it works out, the University of Auburn is in some ways cutting money, where they will fly to a game and then they bus back. Like they're flying to Ole Miss this weekend, and then they were going to bus back instead of flying back to cut on costs. And it makes you wonder, is Auburn stricken for a little money, or is Auburn putting money in the back of the pocket to say, all right, Gus, we're saving it up for you, buddy?
You tell you what, they're putting in that suitcase so they can hand over and say, here you go, Gus Bus, find you a new station.
We'll see how things kind of shake out. Let's be honest, guys.
Auburn's on a rocky road. I don't know what's going on there.
Hey, this is
Jordan Hare.
Perfect segue. Let's jump right into the Auburn-Ole Miss game, because I don't know that Auburn can win this game this weekend.
Yeah, even with Ole Miss having a number of players out, I really don't think Auburn has much of a chance. In they're at Ole Miss. I don't know what their stadium. Davis Wade. I think it's Davis Wade Stadium. Is it Ole Miss or Mississippi State's Davis Wade?
I don't know. I don't pay much attention to the Mississippi schools
as far as the name of
the stadium here. I can get it pulled up for us real quick here, though, because I do want to dive in. Since there's only a few games this week, we can dive in a little bit deeper to each of these games.
Yeah,
so the stadium is Von Hemingway. Or Von Hemingway
That's
Stadium.
Von Hemingway. Mississippi State is Davis Wade. The only reason I know that because I have an uncle whose name is David Davis, and then my last name being Wade, so it kind of like, how many have ties over there?
All right, so let me hit you hit you with some numbers here as far as the pregame goes on this. This game's at 12 o'clock. It's on the SEC Network. Hopefully this video right here doesn't try to play. So Auburn is a 74.7% chance to win this one. Ole Miss is only a 25.3% chance. The line on this was 70.5. 3.5 is what Auburn's picked by. So looking at it, points per game, Auburn's 21.8, whereas Ole Miss is 36.5. And allowed points, Auburn is giving up 24.5, and Ole Miss is giving up 47. So I think it's going to be a lot like that Alabama game. I think you're going to have a somewhat high-scoring affair. I don't think it's going to be quite as high-scoring as the Alabama-Ole Miss game, but it still. I mean, you look at total yardage, Auburn's receiving 366. Ole Miss is going 540 a game.
40.
And then, but the other side of that is they're also giving up 580.
But Auburn's allowing 592.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's through the air.
For Auburn, yeah.
390, and 235 of that's through the air.
Yeah. So, and looking at it, I mean, you get Auburn that's coming off a loss. Should have been 3 straight losses. They should have beat Kentucky to start the season, which they got lucky with. Lost to Georgia. Should have lost to Arkansas. Did lose to Arkansas. Got lucky. Lose to. They should be 1-3 right now. Auburn is completely.
They should be 1-3.
They're nothing like what we thought they were going to be at the beginning of this season. Let me see. I can probably pull
I only think they should be 1-3.
Let me see. Sorry,
I really don't think they should be 1-3.
hope this ain't too loud. Let me see if I can get our schedule pulled up here. You picked them to finish second at 9-1.
Yeah, I'm regretting that choice now.
Yeah, and I think I've got them
Hold on a
7.
second.
I've got them 7-3, second. And Cody's out of here. Let's just listen. Let's see if we can hear what's going on with Cody. Oh, he's back.
rolling.
He's got a schedule. He was doing the same thing.
I'm there. Yeah, I had to go get my I left outside of the room. Yeah, I'm revamping my schedule, man. My schedule got shot.
Yeah. So
Auburn's got the ball on me.
did you go through and revamp it?
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, I tell you what. Let's save it. And do it Sunday because we only have 4 games to go over really on Sunday. So let's redo. I may not redo any of mine because I still feel kind of good about mine, mainly because Vandy's gonna be 0-10, and so far it's looking pretty good.
I mean, well, we have to get what we can. I mean, so far Auburn and LSU have let me down.
Yeah. LSU, those are really the two. What happened to my pen? Those are definitely the two as far as it goes.
Well, and Arkansas is surprising everybody.
I know. I knew they would win against a Mississippi team, and I thought it'd be Ole Miss, but I wouldn't have figured them to be this good. And I think they're gonna win some more games before the season's over. Well, what's our next game on the line right there? Oh, hang on a second now. Hang on now. What's the next game coming
Hold on,
up?
we got finished. Oh, let's finish up with Auburn.
Oh, you-
Ole Miss game. We ain't done no.
You have some more on them?
I mean, they got the line at 3.5. I don't think that's gonna happen.
You don't think so? Well, we'll get to our
Ole Miss
picks,
is only
obviously.
two.
We'll get to our picks, obviously.
We'll
here in
go.
just a little
Okay, we'll just go to the games then.
bit. All right.
Continuing on down to
The 3:30
what's supposed to be the third Saturday. It's supposed to be the third Saturday of October.
Yeah.
There's a fourth Saturday in October, but we'll take it. Yeah, unfortunately, it's the fourth Saturday in October, but it's all good. I wonder. Let's see. When was the last time?
That Tennessee beat Alabama.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull this up real quick. We're gonna throw some numbers.
It's been a little while. Well, I'll tell you what. While you go through that, I'll pull the game up and go through some of the stats on it. Obviously, on this one, Tennessee after last weekend's terrible loss to Kentucky. I mean, watch out, Tennessee. You might be at the house, but it ain't gonna be like last year. Alabama's about to come in there and spank you. That's all there is to it. Go ahead and hit me with the number. I know you got it there.
So you want to take a guess?
All right, the way that you made it
I'll
sound.
let you try to guess the year.
I've seen some pictures that were guys basically as babies, and they said this is the last time that Tennessee beat Alabama. So I'm guessing it's
Put it
20.
this way. Hold on. I'll give you a hint.
All right.
The last time they beat Alabama, we would have been in junior high.
Oh, so it's not as far back as I was thinking. See, I would have thought that it's got to have been 12 years ago.
Longer.
So let's see, 16 years.
Longer.
So it was before 2004? I think your junior high reference is a little off.
Yeah. I went 04.
So what?
My
All
math is
right,
off.
just give me a year here. You did go. Well, let's not say it.
06.
Let's not say it. 06. Well, that ain't too bad. I mean, that's still
Well,
14 years ago, which is crazy.
That's 14 years.
14
That's kind of
years
rough.
ago. Good Lord. Wow.
I want to see what the numbers are because
Like some of the stat lines through the game.
so
Oh, you're looking at scores.
yeah.
All right.
The last time, which it was a close game back in. So the last time they beat us, it was a 16-13 game. If I'm not mistaken, no, that wouldn't have been him. I think that was way before him.
Peyton.
You know what? No, I think that was Saban's first year.
I don't know. You're the Alabama fan.
I think that was Saban's. No, he came in 07, so that was before Saban.
Pre-Saban.
If I'm not mistaken.
Well,
but this.
Yeah, Alabama's
But besides that,
92.5% chance to win it. Mac Jones is on fire. Najee Harris is on fire. Jalen Waddle is on fire.
The receivers are on fire.
Everybody's on fire. Alabama's scoring 48 points a game. Tennessee's only scoring 23. Alabama's giving up 28. Tennessee's giving up 29. Alabama's getting 561 yards. Tennessee's 329. But Alabama's defense is also allowing 458 yards. So, but I don't think.
I will say.
Oh yeah, but look, I don't think Tennessee's going to give you much of a fight.
Oh no.
There's a reason y'all are 21-point favorite at their house, and the over/under 65.5. So they expect y'all to beat them 40-something to what? In the teens or 20-something maybe.
Yeah.
And we'll get to our picks when the time comes.
Out of those 309 passing yards, over half that was from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Actually, I think all that was from Ole Miss for the most part.
Which, I mean, it's averaged over all 4 weeks, but regardless.
Yeah, but still. But yeah, Ole Miss, man, or Tennessee, I think the closest game we've had against them is back in 2009. And that was a 12-10 victory. And the only reason we won that game because of Mount Cody.
Yep, I remember you telling me about
He had 2 blocked field goals that game. But besides that, dude, the scores have been 41-10, 37-6, 44-13, 45-10, 34-20, 19-14. There's another close one there. And it's been 49-10, 45-7, 58-21, and 35-13. So yeah, it's been a hot minute for old poor Rocky Top.
Not looking good for him. Looking like another Rocky Flight week. Moving on with it, you got Kentucky coming to Missouri. Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah.
That one will be a good one. I want to look at some of this weather that I was looking at earlier. So the Auburn-Ole Miss game looks like partly cloudy, 74 there at lunchtime. It's going to be a wet one in Tennessee, 72 degrees at 3:30. Look at this, Missouri. Okay, this is the difference in being in Missouri and being at 49 degrees that afternoon. 49. And you got these other games that are in the 70s, 8 o'clock. Yeah. And then you go down to the Bayou at 7 o'clock that night, a little ways south, and it's going to be 83 degrees and a little bit wet down there in Baton Rouge.
That's normal. That's normal.
That's funny. You want to hit some of the stats that there are for the Kentucky-Missouri game. We're going to try to scoot through. We're already pretty deep in this one. Got a ways.
Yeah, looking at Kentucky-Missouri. Kentucky's scoring 28 points a game. Mizzou's scoring 25.5 or 25.3. But Kentucky's giving up 20. Missouri's giving up 38. Total yards, Kentucky has 300 or is averaging about 348 yards a game, where Missouri's averaging 417. But they're both giving up almost about what they're getting. Actually, Missouri's giving up more than what they're getting. Kentucky's giving up 341. Missouri's giving up 438. But Kentucky's coming off a really good win over Tennessee. But so is Missouri coming off a really good win over LSU.
Yeah.
So I think this one's going to come down to a shootout there in Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah. Well, let's jump like we were just talking about that South Carolina LSU game. And what I'm going to do to kind of save a little bit of time, let's run through the South Carolina LSU game. Once we do that, I'm going to show everybody the weekly bet lines that are out. And then we'll go ahead and do our weekly picks as far as in the SEC goes. We'll show you the MadDawg pick, and then we'll jump to some of the games outside of the league to kind of round us out before we get to the high school stuff, so we can kind of scoot through it. You want to hit me with some of the South Carolina LSU stuff there? This one's kind of an interesting game to me this weekend.
This is going to be a good game to watch.
Yeah.
South Carolina's averaging 30.5 points a game, whereas LSU's averaging 38.7 points a game. But both are giving up. South Carolina's giving up 24.5, where LSU's getting up 32. Both of them getting some pretty good yardage. South Carolina about split halfway, 372.5 yards, where LSU's 467.3, and all that's through the air. They only have 96.7 yards average on rushing.
Yeah.
But they're giving up a lot of yardage too. South Carolina's giving up 368 averaging, where LSU's giving up almost 500 yards, 494.7 yards a game.
Mm-hmm.
LSU's defense has been struggling this year. I think they're hooked up to the wrong bus. They're hooked up to the Gus bus.
Oh, jeez. Mightily. Well, that brings us right into it. Let's go. I'm going to go ahead and pull up for you guys again visually. You guys, podcast listeners, go check out the link. Click it. You'll be able to check on our Twitter page, Facebook page. It'll take you to the YouTube link as well to be able to watch us if you guys want to check it out. We'd love it if you would. Subscribe and follow. To our weekly bet lines, here we go. Popping them up. Auburn, 3.5-point favorite at Ole Miss. The over-under on that one's 70.5. Rightfully so. You know, that I think it's going to be a bit of a shootout. We may see that 70.5 get touched. It's up there for a reason. Auburn only a 3.5-point favorite, obviously because they expect it to be a shootout. Alabama, huge favorite at Tennessee, 21.5 point favorite there. The over/under 65. Expect Alabama obviously to cover most of that. Kentucky, 5.5-point favorite at Mizzou. Over/under on that one's 47. And then you got South Carolina at LSU. LSU at home is only a 6-point favorite. And the over/under on that one is 55.5. Now, to our weekly.
And the only home team.
Yeah, the only home team to be favored. That is true. That's kind of funny how it shook out like that. Well, I'm going to pull up again on our screen here. These are the weekly picks. Cody, I'm going to run through yours first. You got them in front of you, or do you remember them?
Yeah, I got them.
All right. I'm going to put it on the screen if you want to go ahead and run through yours real quick for us.
Yeah, I'll jump through. Auburn, Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss is going to do, or I'm sorry, Auburn is going to struggle down there at Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss, we saw their powerhouse offense against Alabama, and they're going to go through the air. I don't think Auburn's defense can handle it. Seen them struggle way too much this year for simple games. Give me Ole Miss in that game. Like we said, it's going to be high scoring. I can see Ole Miss putting up 45 on Auburn, but at the same time, Ole Miss defense may not be able to get a stop. But at the same time, I think they'll get a few more than Auburn, only give them 28 points. So give me Ole Miss 45, Auburn 28 in that game.
That sounds good. I'll get to mine here in just a minute once you run through yours. Or do you think we should go back and forth on it?
We should go back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah, you go back and forth.
All right, I'll throw mine up here on the screen at the same time. Kind of the same thing. I think it's going to be a little bit of a shootout, and I think Ole Miss's offense is just a little bit too potent by the end of it. Basically the same score on it. I do think that Ole Miss ends up same thing. I think I've got basically 2 field goals difference than yours in that one, and I'm taking Ole Miss 48-31 there at the house. I'll let you take it away as far as the Alabama-Tennessee game goes.
Yeah, Alabama's going up to Tennessee. Once again, Alabama's been dominant over the past few years. And I think Jerry Pruitt, I saw him make a comment saying that this is the best offense he's seen in Alabama in a long time. You all right over there?
Me?
like you started twitching on me.
Oh, yeah, I'm good. You can't see me on screen. I'm hiding.
But Alabama, I think the offense comes out here, and once again, they continue off that win off of Georgia and just ride that bus. I think Alabama outscores Tennessee, and our defense finally shows up and plays like they should. We're going to give up some big plays. We all know it's going to happen. Give me Alabama in that game over Tennessee, 41-17.
Yeah, I like it. I think that's a pretty good number as well. Kind of the same thing. I think Alabama's offense is they're just too strong. Alabama's going to put up a heap load of points, and I think your defense does look a bit better. And I think y'all pull it off kind of the same score. I'm only giving Tennessee 17 in this one. I think y'all can hold them to that. But your offense is going to get it rocking and rolling. I think y'all beat them 54-17. Let's jump down to the Kentucky-Mizzou game. This is where we start to differ a little bit.
Yeah, I think we both see something a little bit different in each team.
Yeah.
Granted, Kentucky is coming up for a really good loss against Tennessee. Ooh, excuse me.
Really
But
good
at the same
win.
time, we really don't know, or really good win off Tennessee. I'm sorry. But at the same time, we really don't know much about Tennessee because they've been most like up teams. They've been up and down all season, so you don't know exactly what to look for or what to expect when you get to play them. On the flip side of that coin, Missouri's come off a really great win going to the edge against LSU. This is where we differ because Kentucky is favored at Missouri, but I think Missouri being at home again this week, give me Missouri over Kentucky 21-17. It's going to be a close one, but at the same time, I think Missouri's just they have that atmosphere at home. They're going to vibe off of it like they did against LSU.
Huh. I don't hate it. I don't hate it for sure. I do see like the Mizzou being at home. I do think that does kind of help them a little bit. I do think it gives them a few points, but I think Kentucky just keeps rolling. I think the offense looked really good last week, and I think it's just going to continue in that same stride forward. And I think Kentucky ends up winning this one 27-13. They're at Mizzou. And last but not least, South Carolina at LSU.
Yeah, South Carolina, LSU. Let me see who did. I put my stats on that game one more time. South Carolina's going with that win over Auburn. They struggled at the beginning of the year against making a close one against Tennessee and Florida. I just think that South Carolina comes to this game full head of steam. Yes, they are at Death Valley at night. LSU has an atmosphere, but with Miles Brennan being out, that's going to affect that offense huge. You had two freshman quarterbacks that you're relying on. Nothing against freshman quarterbacks. I mean, we had one save our butts against Georgia, but in this game, I think it's going to be too much for them. They're going to rattle themselves. I think South Carolina comes in and surprises everybody. Give me South Carolina. It's a close one, but I still give them a 10-point victory, 31-21 South Carolina.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I like where your head's at on it, but I think the different factor is that it is at LSU and it is a night game. I do think that South Carolina comes into this game really, really strong and kind of stuns LSU, especially LSU's defensive woes that they've been having to deal with. But also the other side of the ball is Miles Brennan's not going to be there. He's not going to be the quarterback that's been putting up all these yards and everything. But I think what happens is this game is I think the first half looks really sloppy. I think South Carolina has a lead. But I think LSU starts surging back in the fourth quarter and comes back to squeak this one out by a field goal, 31-28 there. So give it to me. Give me LSU. We'll see how it shakes out in the end. But we got some good games. I think we got some good scores. Pretty close there. A couple that are different. Before we come into this one, Cody his overall record is 5-3. Mine's 7-3. So we'll see. We should have a little bit of change up unless two coincide with one another, and we'll see kind of how that shakes out. Putting up on the screen for you now, MadDawgs pick of the week. Hadn't been looking all that great. It was kind of funny talking to him earlier. What he was telling me as far as his picks. He said he's not looking too good so far this week or this year, I should say. But nonetheless. He is going to continue with it at least. And he said if he can make a pick, it would be that his pick sucked, but we're not going to let him have that. So his pick on the week is that Ole Miss gets the win over Auburn. He is, from the last I checked, an Auburn fan, and he's going to go against his better odds as far as being his team and see if he can start to improve that record a little bit there. So either which way, it's good stuff. Let's see. Get us back on the screen here, Cody. Boop. There we go. Now we're back with you guys. So, if I'm looking at my notes here, we've hit pretty much everything. East and West ranks, they're the same as they were Sunday. Nothing changed about them. Let's jump into some of the games outside the league so that way we can jump to the high school segment and slip through it really quick.
Real quick, score update on a Thursday night game.
There you
go. On October 22nd. Appalachia State is winning against Arkansas State 38-17 with 9 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter.
Good.
So it looks like Appalachian State's going to get the win there. And they just scored. So now it's 44-17.
Ah.
Yeah, I think that game's over with.
More than likely. More than likely.
As always, we have some games going on Friday night. I think the biggest one to watch out for is the 8 o'clock Eastern on the Big Ten Network. The first kickoff game for the Big Ten. Illinois and number 14, Wisconsin.
Yep.
So we'll finally see, since they had all this time off, if they can actually play some football.
I'm looking forward to
taking a shot at the Big Ten.
I didn't really think I'd be all that fired up about the Big Ten coming back, but I really am.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
Got some good games. That's why.
Another one of my teams, just because the old Louisiana Raging Cajuns, they struggle, man. They struggle. They have a really challenging game tomorrow night, playing UAB. They are on the CBS network at 8 o'clock. They're actually a 3-point favorite, so watch out.
There you go.
And then besides that, we'll go ahead and run through our slate for Saturday, October 24th for our kickoff games. Like we mentioned earlier in our podcast, the Big Ten is coming in, so there's some really good games to watch. Kicking off at 12 o'clock, you have Syracuse taking on number 1 Clemson on the ACC network. Clemson is a 46-point favorite in that game.
Woo!
Also, yeah. Well,
hey, Syracuse gave them trouble a couple years ago. Knocked old Trevor Lawrence out of the game.
Watch out for the team in orange.
Yeah.
Down also kicking off at 12 o'clock. All these games are Eastern time. Kicking off at 12 o'clock on Fox is Nebraska and number 5 Iowa State. Iowa State is a 26-point game favorite.
It's not Iowa State. It's Ohio State.
Ohio State. Look, man, I'm tired. Leave me alone.
It ain't even late yet.
All right, we'll scratch that out. Nebraska and Ohio State kick off for the Big Ten. I had to do a little out-of-conference rivalry there.
There you go.
Kicking off on Fox, Ohio State is a 26-point favorite. So we'll finally see Justin Fields and see what he can do up there with the Buckeyes. Continuing on down, North Carolina State taking on North Carolina. Also at 12 o'clock on ESPN, North Carolina is actually the favorite in that game, 15.5. Kansas taking on Kansas State. Kansas is 0-4 on the year. Kansas State 3-1. Kansas State is a 19.5-point favorite. That game's kicking off at 12 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. Mm-hmm. Georgia Southern taking on Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina is a 5.5-point favorite. That game also kicking off at lunch.
If I made a pick on that one, I think Georgia Southern is going to upset Coastal Carolina right there. Give me Southern.
It's possible.
Give me Southern. They look good this year.
Southern looks really good, but Coastal Carolina did beat my Raging Cajuns last week.
Oh, that's all it takes.
I'm kind of. What?
The Sun Belt Fun Belt. The Sun Belt Fun Belt. All right, roll on with it.
Anyways, sorry, we got to throw some humor in here somewhere, guys.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on that one. Give me Georgia Southern over Coastal Carolina. Just gotta throw that in there real quick. Mercer taking on Army also at 12 o'clock. A lot of 12 o'clock games kicking off. Of course, Auburn Ole Miss also kicking off at 12 o'clock. Oklahoma and TCU kicking off at 12 o'clock on ABC. Oklahoma is a 6.5-point favorite. That game is something to watch out for. If TCU beats Oklahoma, that ends their chances for a championship, I think, at all.
Oh, I don't think they're going to get in it anyway, but I think
I'm talking about for the Big 12.
I don't know. You still got like Iowa State and a couple others that might find themselves in there, but they got a lot of work to do it.
I think all of them are either they're undefeated or only one loss, so they already got the heads up on them. Continuing on down with Temple taking on Memphis. Memphis is a 13.5-point favorite. Again, all these games are at 12 o'clock. UTEP taking on Charlotte. Charlotte is actually a 14.5 point favorite. FSU, Florida State taking on Louisville on ESPN3. Louisville's a 5 point favorite in that game,
That should
but
be a good one.
watch out for Florida State. Ever since they put in their backup, I think I want to say Trevor, but it's not Trevor.
Is it Tyler?
It went Tyler. It may have been Tyler.
Well, click
And
on the
what Tyler?
Gamecast and see what you see. Thought it was like Tyler Brennan or something. I could be completely wrong on that.
No. You just threw like two quarterbacks. No.
Yeah.
Because Blackman was the starting quarterback there, and they took him out and put in the backup, and to me the backup actually looks better than the starter. It is Travis.
Travis, that's it.
We're close.
Yeah.
We're close.
Something like that.
But Louisville is a 5.5 point favorite, or 5 point favorite in that game. But watch out for Florida State; they are making some changes down there. Another Big Ten kicking off. Rutgers taking on Michigan State. That'll be a good one to watch. Again, all those games are at 12 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Central. At 1 o'clock, you have Southern Miss taking on Liberty. 2 o'clock, you have Tulane taking on UCF. Florida Atlantic taking on Marshall at 2:30. Marshall is a 16.5 point favorite and ranked 22nd. So watch out for Marshall down there. They undefeated so far, so they could be sneaking up to getting themselves into a pretty good bowl. Of course, 3:30 you have Alabama taking on Tennessee on the CBS network. We mentioned Alabama is a 21.5 point favorite in that game. Great game here, and I got some indigestion. Notre Dame, number 3 Notre Dame taking on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is 3-3 on the season. Notre Dame is 4-0. That game is being played on ABC Network. Notre Dame only a 10-point favorite in that game. So
there's a reason why, and that's because at any moment Pitt can come in there and knock you out.
Yeah, Pitt's always been one of those teams that are under the radar.
Yeah,
you gotta watch them.
They're one of those that can take down a top guy if that top guy is sleeping around, which it's happened. It's happened before.
It's happened before. Continuing down Big 12, we got a top 25 matchup. Number 17 Iowa State taking on Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State only a 3.5 point favorite. Iowa State is also the team that I believe they took down. They took down Texas, right?
Either Texas or Oklahoma. I don't remember now. That's been a few weeks ago.
I think it was Texas.
Heck, the Big 12 only played one game this past weekend, so it's kind of hard to keep up with when the teams aren't playing.
That game kicking off at 3:30 Eastern on Fox. Another Big Ten matchup in Penn State, number 8 Penn State that is, taking on Indiana.
Another really good one.
At 3:30. And Penn State's only a 6-point favorite in that game. That game being played on Fox Sports 1. So another Big Ten team there to watch. That way we can kind of get an idea of what they're going to look like this year. Number 19 Virginia Tech taking on Wake Forest on ESPN3 at 3:30. Virginia Tech a 9.5 point favorite in that game. Skip some of these. Houston taking on Navy. Houston a 15-point favorite in that game. That game being played on CBS Sports Network at 3:30. Texas and Baylor playing at 3:30 on the ESPN. Texas 8.5 point favorite. Local team here in Alabama, Troy, taking on Georgia State at home. That game being played on ESPNU at 4 o'clock Eastern. Troy a 2.5 point favorite in that game, so they're predicting that to go really close. Georgia Tech coming off that loss last week, or I say the beatdown last week from Clemson taking on Boston College. Boston College actually a favorite in that game, 3.5 points. That game being played on the ACC network at 4 o'clock. West Virginia taking on Texas Tech. That game being played at 5:30 on ESPN2. West Virginia a 3-point favorite in that game. Another Big Ten matchup. Primetime game on ABC. Number 18 Michigan versus number 21 Minnesota. Michigan only a 3-point favorite.
And snow There is the possibility of snow for a season opening game. A season opening game. It's gonna be so good. I'm so excited. That's why I'm fired up about them. You know, we don't care about them until they get here, and then it's like, you know, you got some good teams that are playing this weekend. I want to watch that. So that's why I'm kind of fired up about them playing. Because there's like 4 good games out of the Big Ten in their opening weekend, which is great. And then you turn around next weekend and you got more good games. Because we're tired of the Big 12. You know, you got Oklahoma and Texas. Everybody's like, yeah, they're going to be good. And then now you got Iowa State and Oklahoma State and, you know, a couple other guys where it's
Kansas
like, wait,
State.
where did y'all come from? Who are y'all? And we're still not giving them credit. Whereas the Big Ten, you're like, yeah, you guys are good. Let's see what you do.
To me, Big Ten right now, they're a team that you're kind of looking over the fence. You're like, what y'all doing over there? What y'all got going on?
Yeah, some of that home improvement stuff going on. I made that joke, that reference so many times.
It's hard not to, man. It's a good show.
Yeah. Coming back, by the way. Coming back.
Oh, yeah. Hawaii taking on Fresno State. Fresno a 4-point favorite in that game. That game being played at 7:30. I do not see a TV on that one. They're probably playing in Hawaii, so.
Yeah, they don't have TVs in Hawaii, if you didn't know that.
I will say that has to be fun to play in Hawaii.
I'm just kidding, guys.
You completely. We could have had a little segment there, but it fell apart quick.
I guess I wasn't paying attention. Not abnormal.
Another Big Ten matchup there in Maryland taking on Northwestern. But I'm over in Michigan or Northwestern.
Go ahead.
So
completely different.
Like I said, another Big Ten matchup here in Maryland taking on Northwestern. Northwestern, a 11-point favorite. That game being played on the Big Ten Network at 7:30 Eastern. Miami taking on Virginia. Miami ranked number 11. Only a 12.5-point favorite over Virginia. That game being played at 8 o'clock Eastern. And another good matchup that we kind of mentioned before we started our show. And number 9, Cincinnati, 3-0, taking on number 16, SMU, 5-0. That game being played at 9 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And SMU's only a 2.5-point favorite.
We are getting
that game is going to be good.
Yes, we are getting these late night games. You know, like you go back to last week, and when all the games were over, you were like, all right, well, we got Alabama, Georgia to watch. And when that game was over, it was like, all right, everybody go to bed. There was no football on. Well, you got this one, a great matchup that's happening there at 9 o'clock. It's not going to be over till after 11. And I think that SMU is going to show up and show out, and they're going to flip-flop. Because if it was me, I would have SMU ranked 9th and Cincinnati 16th. Cincinnati may prove that there's a reason they're there, but I got a feeling SMU's about to show up and tell everybody why they should be in the top 10 instead of just in the top 20.
Yeah, I mean, they've been kind of under the radar, and they're not getting the respect they deserve. I mean,
they can earn it this weekend.
They're 5-0. They're 5-0 on the year and nothing, and they've had some really good games.
Most notably that Memphis game.
Memphis was a really good one.
And Shane Buechele is such a good quarterback. He's thrown for over 1,700 yards and 12 touchdowns already this season. And you look back at
2 interceptions on the year.
Yeah, you look back at Mac, and Mac's only thrown for 1,512 touchdowns. But you got Shane Buechele sitting here that he may be in Heisman talk, but he's not one of those top 3 guys. And he should be.
Well, I mean, you look at the last 5 games. They had Texas State. They won 31-24. University of North Texas. They won 65-35. St. F. Austin 50-7. 25. No, played number 25 Memphis and beat them 30-27, and then went with Tulane to overtime in a 37-34 victory.
Yeah, sounds like that defense
gets overlooked.
Yeah, sounds like that defense can be somewhat of the issue for them, but
yeah, I mean, they're giving up 400 yards on the year, but they're averaging 563 yards at the same time.
Yeah.
So SMU's the team to kind of watch out for. They're a team under the radar that can cause a lot of problems if they wanted to.
Oh, for sure. What you got on the last game?
Wrapping up the top 25 games, top 25 team playing, BYU taking on Texas State. BYU a 28.5-point favorite on that game being played on ESPN at 10:15.
Another late night game.
The only game, another late night game. I think the latest game we have is at 10:30. Two at 10:30. UNLV taking on San Diego State, and then Air Force taking on San Jose State. Air Force actually a favorite in that game by a touchdown. And so far, there's only been one canceled game this week, and that was New Mexico and Colorado State.
I was going to say, that was one thing I didn't notice, or I did notice as far as the top 25. There hadn't been any cancellation. Now, there have been changes in schedule, like as far as like Florida, their scheduling, Georgia's scheduling, but there's been no postpone. You know, they haven't postponed or had to cancel anything. They've already swapped stuff around enough to be able to do it. Well, guys, that's a look at basically every game around the league, or outside of the league, I should say, coming up. So, Cody, unless you got anything else as far as that stuff goes, we'll jump right into our high school segment, some of the under the lights stuff. You good on everything else?
I think we're pretty good. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. I mean, like we mentioned real quick, wrapping up our college overlook. Some really good games to watch out for, too. Some late-night games, especially to kind of keep your eye on. And some Big Ten games to kind of watch and kind of see what's going on over there.
Yeah.
But without further ado, I say we kick it underneath the lights, man.
Let's do it. All right.
So,
that's my button. There we go. There we go. There we go.
I'll tell you. You got it working now?
Yeah, I got it working. Sorry. Go ahead with it.
I'll try to skip the Georgia teams. Real quick, we're just going to go over some of the high school teams. We didn't do this last week, mainly because it was the Alabama-Georgia game, and we wanted to focus more on that game versus some of our other stuff. So if any of our podcast listeners or video viewers, if you're wondering why they didn't do that segment, that's why we were more focused on the Alabama-Georgia matchup and trying to get you much detail in that game and stats on that game to give you a better setup for that one. Unlike we've been doing where we kind of rush through some of our games.
Yeah.
But without further ado, we'll continue our Friday night under the light segment. We'll start over here in Alabama, where you have going down. Smith Station 3 and 5 taking on the Dothan. I think it's the Dothan Wolves now.
Yep.
Which are 1-6 on the year. So that game kind of hit miss on how you could go. GW Long 7-0 on the year, taking on 8-1 Abbeville. Another good matchup there. There's a lot of good matchups this week. Another one in Dale County, 6-3, taking on 5-4 Strong. 7-2 Opp taking on 4-4 WS Neal. 8-0 Brantley taking on 7-0 Florala. That should be another good matchup. Another game to that's just kind of there. 1-8 Ashford taking on 0-6 Booker T. That game's one of those you're kind of like, well, somebody's going out here with a win. Continue on. Charles Henderson 1-6 on the year, taking on 0-8 Headland. I thought I saw something about that game. It may have been last week's game about Headland. I'm not sure. I think this is the last week for high school football, if I'm not mistaken.
Very well may be. I know in Georgia we still got a ways to go. We started a little bit later.
Yeah, I want to say this is the last week for high school football in Alabama. I saw something about Headland. But anyways, sidetracked. 5-4 Geneva taking on 6-2 St. James. All these games are at 7 o'clock Central Time. Abbeville Christian taking on 6-2 Abbeville Christian taking on 5-3 Lakeside. I think Abbeville Christian gets the upper hand in that one. 0-8 Zion Chapel facing a really strong 6-2 Geneva County. I think the Geneva County's gonna kind of walk out of there with a win against Zion Chapel. Reeltown 4-4 taking on 3-3 Pike County. Another little matchup there. Houston Academy 2-6 on the year taking on 1-6 New Brockton. That game to kind of see how that goes. HA's had a little bit of a struggle here this year, which is something not really heard of. HA's usually pretty decent on football. Continue on our Armada, Houston County. We make our own sound effects.
Yeah.
It makes it better. Houston County 1-7 on the year. Their only win coming against Zion Chapel, if I'm not mistaken. Taking on a 5-4 Elba Tigers. All I can say is poor Lions. I hope they really start pulling miracles out. I doubt it, but here we get some of our better matchups. 8-0 Auburn taking on 6-2 Enterprise. I would not be surprised to see Enterprise kind of come up with an upset win there. Because you never know.
Never do.
Continue on down, Sampson 5-3 on the year taking on Kinston's 2-6. Delville 0-9 taking on a 4-4 Providence Christian. Providence Christian's not doing what I think they do about every year. They're about mediocre. Look, poor Delville, they've been struggling all year, so hopefully maybe they can get something, but I doubt it against Providence Christian. Continue on down, Arrington 4-5 on the year taking on 1-6 Cottonwood. Cottonwood's had some ups and downs. I think 2 weeks ago they had to shut down the school for high cases in the coronavirus. So I know they've had some struggles there. And finishing off the slate, a really good matchup, a 6-2 Vicksburg taking on a 7-1 Slocum Red Tops.
Yeah, so you got some good games coming around on the Alabama
game.
side of things. At 9 o'clock?
That's a late game too.
Wow.
9 o'clock. I hope that's a misprint, but because I hate to play a 9 o'clock game.
You ain't kidding. Yeah, I would imagine that was probably like 7.
Besides that, I'll let you go ahead and we'll jump back across the river and let you wrap it up for us in Georgia.
All right, so some of the little bit of news that I had that came out of here was the Colquitt County game against Alcovy. Yeah, Alcovy has been canceled. Let's see, it's according to the school system. Several positive COVID-19 cases and an abundance of caution. They have decided to cancel that one. I was trying to see if I could pull some of these other ones up. Let me do this real quick. There we go. All right. Coming into some of your Thursday night games, there are a couple of games that are being played right now. Bainbridge and Dougherty County actually played earlier, and I think Bainbridge took care of business like 58-7 in that one. I saw a couple others that said Brooks County and Fitzgerald were playing. I hadn't seen anything on that. That's two really big teams that are supposed to be playing. Calhoun County and Terrell also was on here. But again, this being on Max Preps, sometimes you get some of that and sometimes you don't in some of it. So we'll see. Jumping into some of the games at least coming up tomorrow, you got 2-4 Berrien taking on 4-2 Cook. Should be a good one. Strong Rock Christian 3-2 taking on 2-4 Deerfield. Deerfield be home in that one. Thomas County Central traveling to Westover. Peach County, big one here. Peach County 4-1 taking on 5-0 Crisp County. Undefeated there at the house and one of the top teams in the state of Georgia. 2-3 Perry taking on 1-3 Tift County. Also got 3-2 Crisp Academy taking on 1-4 Westminster. Another big game this upcoming weekend. You got 5-1 Coffee taking on undefeated 5-0 Ware County there at Ware County. 0-2 Dooley County taking on 2-4 Hawkinsville. Another good one this weekend. 4-1 Dublin taking on 5-1 Wilcox County. 5-1 Turner County taking on 2-2 Clinch County. You got two completely defeated teams. 0-2 Monroe taking on 0-4 Cairo. Hopefully Cairo can finally get on the board here. 2-4 Miller County traveled to 2-1 Pelham. Pelham should start getting the ball rolling here against Miller County. Two teams at 3-3 Thomasville traveling down to Worth County. 3-3 Atkinson County taking on 4-2 Irwin County. The Indians looking to get things going there as well. Then you got undefeated 6-0 Fitzgerald traveling to 3-1 Early County. I think you're going to be at that game, Cody. And you may have to be sending me some updates on the score in that one, because that one's going to be a pretty good one, I think. A couple of the other ones you got here.
I'm actually working a double, so I think.
Go ahead with it.
I'll be at that game. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Shoot me some updates on that one. Hawkinsville 2-4, traveling down to 5-1 Wilcox County. Presbyterian Day 2-3, traveling to Deerfield Windsor. Why does it show that there's 2 teams traveling to Deerfield? So it's either Presbyterian or Strong Rock that'll be traveling to these guys here. Let me pull up one of your other scoreboards that I saw on here earlier that actually had some of the teams on it that should have been at the other. Let's go to Friday. A couple of times they'll put some of these local teams in a completely different rank, or in like a whole nother scorecard that I look for. Let me just do a quick look over it. Did you say you had the SGA game there on yours?
I did. It was.
Here was the other one. Was East Lawrence 2-2 is traveling to 1-4 Baconton. Baconton will be at home Friday night.
Let me go back real quick.
Yeah, scrolling through it to see if I could see it, but I never did see it pop up on it. One of the others is 6-1 Windsor Academy travels to 2-1 Dominion Christian. I mean, it's no big deal either way if it doesn't pop up. That's pretty much the games that you've got as far as and this goes.
I missed a game.
All right, hit me with it.
It's actually played tonight. Rehoboth took on Northside Methodist. Rehoboth gets the win there, 45-35.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, guys, that was the Under the Lights segment of the week. Oh, do you have another one that you had
I got the SGA.
All right, hit me with it real quick.
SGA 5-1 taking on SGA 5-1 in the year taking on Valwood 2-3.
Okay, so SGA hopefully should take care of business with that one.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
It's 2020, man. You never know.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right about that. Well, guys, y'all check us out on Facebook and Twitter at SEC Talk 20. I think we say it 100 times, and we will just continue to say it each and every time, like we do. Follow us there. Give us a subscribe, like, share, tell your friends about us, whatever you guys want to do. We'd love to hear from you guys. We're going to try to get a little bit more active with it as far as the Facebook side and the Twitter side. We are a little bit. Don't get a whole lot of action off of it, so hoping we can get some of you guys involved and shoot us a message, or you don't have to shoot us a message. Just go follow us, go like us, go share us, tell your friends about us. Try to get some people listening in on this thing. I think that's got us wrapped up. We've gone through our picks. We've gone through some of the news. Should be a good weekend of football. Not a lot of SEC football, but still, nonetheless, should be a good weekend of football as far as the weekend goes. Got anything else for us, Cody?
Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned, we had a lot of changes there in the scheduling for the SEC. A lot of it's due to coronavirus, but we do get to see Big Ten play this weekend, so that'll be real good to kind of see what they are all about this year and what changes they've done during this off time that they've had. But like you mentioned, guys, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SEC Talk 20, and I believe that's a wrap for our show, man.
Yeah, I think that's got us again. We appreciate you guys listening. As always, it's Holden, Cody, SEC Talk. We out.
We out.